welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to see everyone again. Some of you I know very well through my broadcasting days with Carthage College. Others I've seen your athletic prowess at Carthage College, been part of that, been able to watch some of that in the 21 years I was at Carthage and the 19 years that I was able to broadcast. So it's good to see everybody once again. Before we get started on the questioning, obviously the man who had put all of this together and really brought this Hall of Fame ceremony back into the forefront as part of homecoming and part of the tradition at Carthage College was Dr. Bob Bonn. And as you all know, Dr. Bonn tragically passed away earlier this summer. And, for all of us that have been associated with Carthage Athletics, I think we all can agree there was one thing that Dr. Bonn had, and that was passion for what he did and bringing Carthage Athletics back together and making that an experience not only for the student athletes, but also for some of you who are coaches understand where Bob was probably, I consider him like the father of the sports, maybe even the grandfather of Carthage Athletics, if you will, because of his ability to hire great coaches, get out of the way, let them coach you. He was always interested in every sport. He had a passion for every sport. He would try and make every sporting event. He was, in a short way, he was all about hanging those banners up in the Tark. That was his goal, and I think we all truly miss him. And this would have been something special for him coming into the Athletic Hall of Fame. So I think we all agree on that. So without further ado, we'll move on into our questions for the day. And I'm going to start with Elizca. You're first up. We're doing this alphabetically. So Elizca, you're first up. And as someone who comes from outside of the United States, so you're from South Africa, what drew you to Carthage College and basically to Kenosha and Wisconsin?
Thank you, John. Yes, right after high school, I joined it's like a babysitting program, but for older kids. It's an au pair program, and I ended up in Kenosha. So just a shout out to my two kids at the time. They're adults now, Trina and David Capelli. I babysat them. So I joined a state league team in Kenosha, and my team members, in particular, Tom and Deb Haller, they encouraged me to apply at Carthage. So along with them and Brady Lindsley, the coach, we made it happen, and I'm forever grateful for that opportunity to be part of the Carthage family.
Well, it's great that you were able to take part in the athletics and make it here. Rachel, I'm going to move on to you. Rachel Collison, you had immediate success as a freshman at Carthage College. How did you feel your first year on campus adjusting to the collegiate level of volleyball? How did you handle that?
Yeah, I'd say going into freshman year, I was really excited and really nervous. But I think what helped me have such a successful transition is just that I always felt supported. So right from the start, Coach Ulmer and the upperclassmen were very welcoming, and they did a great job at building a strong team dynamic. And I think that really gave me the confidence to play to the best of my ability, even as a freshman.
Fantastic. Well, this guy, I've seen Steve Djurickovic play high school ball since I think your freshman year, Steve. I think that might be right. I called some high school games back in the day and got a chance to watch you play at the high school level. And as you were beginning to realize that you're getting pretty good at basketball, I remember you were very good at high school basketball. Did you always know you were going to be coming to Carthage College?
I think Carthage just felt like the best home, best fit for me all around. And getting the opportunity to play for my dad, obviously that's a huge plus. But just growing up around the campus and seeing how much it's grown, a lot of it under Dr. Bonn. And those teams in the early 2000s that you called were really important for me. And those were guys that I looked up to and really respect, and try to get back to building that in the next few years on the other side.
Exactly. No, Steve, it reminds me so much of my daughter, Rebecca, same way. She followed us athletically and did all the same things, coming to all the games. And we did all the college tours, but in the end, she always knew Carthage was going to be her home, and she's a proud graduate of Carthage College, and she's a teacher now in Kenosha Unified. I could certainly empathize with that and how you came about that decision. Kyle Drake, you arrived just a couple of years after Carthage had won its first ever CCIW men's swimming title, and when you arrived, the team won a conference title every year you were on campus. And when you come to college or to Carthage as a freshman, was a team conference, the title, a goal you guys knew you could easily attain each season, or was it a bit of a pleasant surprise for you you had to grind for?
Personally, I did not have my sights too hard on a conference win because for me, I was too worried about my own progression and all that. But looking back in hindsight, I realized two things about all my time there. Conference wins was not an accident, and it was inevitable. Because to win conference like championship meets, you need more than just one or two good swimmers. You need everybody. You need people to fill every single event, and that's what the recruitment did. So the year before me, fellow Hall of Famer Nathaniel Chapman left, and there was a big hole for backstroke, and I was recruited to fill that hole. And over the next few years, when people graduated, the coaching found many different people to fill every single one of the holes that we needed to win all 4 years that I was there. So it was just wonders from the coaching recruitment staff, whoever did that, and Greg Earhart pushing for whoever was needed on the team.
Kyle, thank you. Trevor James, correct me if I'm wrong, but you came to Carthage to play men's basketball with really no track and field experience, right? So what drew you to transition sports, and talk about the process of learning the high jump and becoming one of probably the best in the entire country in that sport.
Yes, that's correct. It's kind of a funny story. The way I can tell it is Coach Brett Witt, who was the coach at the time, he actually observed me in the arena, Tarbo Arena, doing basketball practice, pretty much noticing I can do a lot of different dunks off of one leg, which is what's required in the high jump. And how I know it going down was he spoke with Coach Bosco Djurickovic, Steve's dad. Shout out Steve. I've known Steve since I was about 8 years old. My brother played for Bosco. And they spoke briefly, and Bosco was sure to send me his way once season had concluded. Along with that, and a bunch of my friends that I made during the school year who were track athletes, I decided to go out and give it a try. Learning high jump early on was truly a task. I couldn't grasp the idea of jumping backwards into a pit, but I knew how to jump off of one leg. And I began the outdoor season of 2011, and it kind of progressed pretty fast after that. By my sophomore year, I was the 4th in the country, and I went on to win nationals in 2012.
Excellent story. It had to be a pretty brief conversation too. If I know Bosco and knowing Coach Witt as I do, that one-sided convo too.
Truly hilarious.
Stephanie Kuzmanic, boy, I've had the pleasure of watching you play for 4 years at Carthage College, and your first season was in the first season of women's basketball at Carthage College, 1901. So over a century of basketball played at Carthage College for the women. It's safe to say that when it went into your sophomore, junior, and senior seasons, the most successful stretch in women's college basketball history at Carthage. If you could, what was it that clicked so well with you and your teammates and the coaching staff those 3 seasons to have that kind of success?
Honestly, I think that we were successful though for that stretch because we had great team chemistry and we really had a group of players that went out and played for each other every night. I think that we were so talented individually, but as time went on, we really kind of learned how to play together and we understood our roles and how to kind of get everybody involved out on the court. And I think a huge credit of that goes to Coach Bernero. I think he did a phenomenal job developing an offense that highlighted everybody's strengths and maximized our potential. And I think the other thing is that we just had a very competitive group of kids that wanted to win. As you said, sophomore year, we had up until that point the best season in school history. We made a run to the Elite Eight. And after that season, we graduated almost the entire starting lineup. And going into my junior year, a lot of people doubted us. They didn't think that we were going to do very well since we lost so many players. And I think that's what really kind of fueled us and motivated us to get together and work hard and prove everybody wrong that we could still have a strong team. And we came back and won, 2 consecutive CCIW championships. So I think that kind of fueled our fire a little bit to work hard.
I think it's still the gold standard of Carthage women's basketball, those 3-4 seasons right there. And let me tell you, from a broadcaster standpoint, it was a pleasure going along for that ride and watching that night in and night out with what you and your teammates were able to put together there for women's basketball, Stephanie. So thank you so much for your contribution to that.
Well, and thank you too, John, because I know everybody here knows that a lot of that wouldn't have happened the way it did without you.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't dribble a ball. I didn't make a free throw. I didn't play defense. I was just calling what I saw. So, Connor Wexter, ignoring last year's season, which ended early because of COVID. The Carthage men's volleyball team has won 20 or more games, 10 straight seasons, including the record 29 wins in your sophomore season. So again, what was that like, being the focal point of that offense, playing the position of setter for men's volleyball?
Well, I think I'd be doing my teammates and my coaches a disservice by saying I was the focal point of that. We had to do it as a team, and I think that LJ Marks, who was the previous head coach, he really pushed us to be the best as a group. And I was maybe spearheading what was happening on the court because I had to touch the volleyball so many times, but the group of guys that he recruited and the way that he made us work is really the reason that we've had so much success. And, I was just a guy that was out there trying to not let people down. And I think that all of us kind of felt that way, and we all worked really hard because of it. And we'd give back all the individual success, as any of the players that we've had in our program, we'd give all that back if we could win a national championship. And that's still something that we strive for. I know with, current head coach JW, who's one of my good friends, that's something that's going to continue with the program for a long time.
It was an outstanding run. And you think about it for, that, again, going back to the late Dr. Bonn, having the foresight to bring that sport to campus and give that sport an opportunity at Carthage College. And again, opportunity for athletes such as yourself to participate in that sport and be successful right from the get-go and keep that success going. Kelsey Wickenhauser, staggering ERA when you were a pitcher with Carthage women's softball, 1.64, and well over 600 strikeouts in your career as a pitcher for the Carthage softball team. What was it like when you're on the mound in that zone, taking over a game and shutting down your opponent?
I think a few things come to mind. When you're in the zone, I guess all you really see is the glove, and you just have utmost confidence that you have control of where the ball's going at that moment. But I think really it's, I have to give credit to my catcher because I couldn't get in the zone if she wasn't in her zone too. And at Carthage, I worked a lot with Jenny Burke, and she called a really mean game and really was able to capitalize on the batter's weaknesses. So I was able to really trust her. I'd never really had to shake her off, and we just really jived and were able to work together to hopefully sit some people down. So it's fun.
Oh man, 600 strikeouts, outstanding career, and congratulations on your induction into the Carthage Athletic Hall of Fame. I've got one more question for everyone, and again, we'll go alphabetically to wrap this up. And really, I wanted to ask each one about a favorite memory that they'll never forget during your time as a student athlete at Carthage. Maybe it might be a moment on the field, might be a moment in the classroom, but just something that still stands out for you. And I'll start with Elizca first.
Okay, well, there are so many, but besides making awesome friends and having incredible professors and singing in the Carthage choir and working in the Office of College Relations, I think my favorite moment at Carthage is not just one moment, but it's maybe the van rides on our tennis trips. One time we made it to nationals as a doubles team, and the team members had shirts printed and they bought their own flight tickets and came to support us. And that's what the team is all about. And that's what Brady always encouraged us to do, is always to be a team player, never jeopardize the success of the team. And these van rides were just moments of laughter and great stories being told. And for those who don't know, Brady Lindsley knows every word to this song, Ice Ice Baby. So if you're ever in the van with Brady, put that CD in the car and just see what happens, because those are great memories.
I'll share one too. Brady's a pretty darn good bowler too. He and I have been on the bowling team for about 6 years together now, and
I know that.
He's very good. He's good. You know,
I went bowling with Brady for the first time in my life, because being from South Africa, bowling is not big. My score, do you want to know my score? I got 36 points. I think he made over 200. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, he's carried our team many a night. Brady is very good. Rachel, same thing, same question. Something that stood out when you were at Carthage.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's hard to pick just one memory. I'd say volleyball was such a big part of my experience that most of my memories are just the times that I spent with my teammates, both on and off the court. We always had a ton of fun traveling together for tournaments and games. We love spending days on the sand volleyball courts or going to the beach, and even just hanging out, going to the caf or hanging in the dorm rooms. It's kind of a common theme I'm hearing in a lot of people's, messages here, is just that those relationships that you build with your team and how important that is and how impactful that is and what a big impact it can make on your life.
Indeed. Steve, I'm going to go to you. There's so many, I know, both on the court, your accomplishments, both as a player, as a coach. It's got to be maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 that jump out at you, Steve.
I think Rachel's right. I mean, just the relationships that you build. I mean, you could talk about all the trips that we've been on over the years to Hawaii, to California, to Florida, those team bonding moments. But for me, probably my junior year, went to the Sweet 16, hosted the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament, won conference for the first time in about 7 years, I think. And my dad's always said it, there's nothing more fun than winning in team sports. And I think that was something that, after a struggle of a year, I'd say my sophomore year, just everybody collectively coming together, my junior year, that was really fun.
Certainly was one of my fine memories too. Kyle, is there 1, 2 things that jump out at you from your stay at Carthage?
Well, to set the stage, it was about September-ish, I forget which year, but Lake, it's actually pretty warm at that time of the year because it had all the whole summer to warm up. And right now I am living in Hawaii. I actually spent my time over the summer and Christmas breaks in Hawaii. So I did a lot of body surfing, and that's one or 2 days in that September, the winds were picked up. The winds were creating a lot of waves that you would see like in the oceans, and me and about a dozen other swimmers would just go outside in between classes and body surf for like an hour or 2. And it's the biggest waves that I've ever seen on a lake.
Fantastic. I realized I think I skipped Tom on some of that first question. So if Tom's still there, hey, Tom, are you there?
I'm still here, yes. And
I apologize. I'm looking at my question sheet and I completely blew that. And so we're going to go back and start that over and get your question. And I apologize for that.
That's okay, John. That's because I was a black and white photo. I didn't qualify,
No, that's just John White being John.
So old, you probably thought I died.
That's what it was. You were captain of cross-country teams that had incredible success nationally. What was it like going to those events and running against some of the best distant runners in the country?
It was exhilarating. 1971, our team finished third in the country. 72, we finished fifth, and then 73, we finished fourth. So we had 3 years in a row we finished in top five. And we had a really nice team of a lot of local runners from Wisconsin, basically, and some in Illinois. And the nice thing about track is that a mile is a mile today. A mile was a mile 50 years ago when we were running. And you can do a kind of comparative. And to put things in perspective, we had two or three guys that could run a 4:10, 4:11 mile. We had 3 guys that were under 50 minutes and 5,000 meters, 14 something. And so we had the confidence, we had the talent, so we could go and compete against, people that were better than us. And it is exhilarating that you're running against guys that are in the Olympics for the U.S. or in the Olympics for their country, and to compete against them and to do well was always very exciting. So it helped us out of our comfort zone. So, we had a tough conference back then. CCIW, North Central was always very strong, as they are today. In fact, Carthage, by the way, is the last team to beat North Central in the conference meet. It's been, believe it or not, it's been 46 or 47 years that North Central has won the cross-country conference championship for CCIW. And Carthage is the last one to beat them. We beat them in 73. So that whole out of the comfort zone thing was good. And to run against people that are better than you brings you up, improves your time. And it was just a good experience. I mean, it's something that I wouldn't trade for anything.
Tom, I'll stay with you. Is there a memory or two that you want to share of your experience at Carthage and maybe on the track, or maybe it was in the classroom or in dorm?
Well, like the others have said, it's almost 50 years ago now, but it's hard to remember anything that was specific that was outstanding. But the composite of years that we were there were all very memorable. You have to remember when I got there in 1970, the school had just opened up 10 years earlier in 1960 in Kenosha. And so the whole campus was still had that new smell to it, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of fun. So the campus that it is today is unbelievable, but even back then it was very enjoyable. And I still have memories of walking from South Hall to the school to the administrative office and the school for the classes. And memories of mine are the people. Basically, Art Keller. We all know the name. I got to know the person. Athletic director, football coach. John Swift, who was the coach for the cross-country team. John Swift was a coach for tennis, basketball, golf, and he knew the littlest about cross-country running, but that was his biggest success as far as a coach, because he knew how to recruit people and how to treat them. So it was the overall composite of people, sports, the campus, just the whole environment. And again, back then, you got to remember that I was in the era of, Vietnam War, Woodstock. The Beatles are just finishing their last live concert on the rooftop. All these things, the man walking on the moon, all these things going on around us. So Carthage was kind of like our little respite to go to kind of home away from home and enjoy it. And it was perfectly built for that.
Fantastic. And I apologize. Great answer, but I apologize for missing you in the rotation. That's just me being me. I apologize.
No problem.
Is there a memory? You played a couple of different sports there, so maybe you got one for each there.
I would say there are plenty, obviously, and I hate to beat the same horse everyone says. It's basically the teammates and the time you spent with each other. If I can chalk it up to maybe 1 or 2 moments, I would say a conference meet. Any conference meet, indoor, outdoor. But specifically, my first championship, my first outdoor championship was at Illinois Wesleyan in conference in 2012. And that was when I PR'd by like 7 inches. Just a completely exhilarating experience. Just the people, the teammates cheering you on the sideline. And from that moment on, I don't think anyone ever missed high jump. And, we would just support each other night in and night out, either in practice, and the meets were just some of the best time you have in your life.
Good. That's just great, Trev. Stephanie, I imagine the same thing, huh? I mean, that was a pretty tight group, that those sophomore, junior, senior seasons at Carthage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to continue to be repetitive here, but everybody that's here knows that the people is really what made Carthage so special, the professors, the teammates, the coaches. But if I had to really pick one as far as on the court, I think it would be my very last game of senior year. John, you might remember this one. This was a big one. We finally got to host playoffs for the first time. And because of the way Division III does playoffs regionally, we ended up seeing the #1 team in the country in the second game of the playoff round. You wouldn't expect to see that to a Final Four, but we had to play Hope College on our home floor, and they were 28-0. They hadn't lost in maybe 16 months. They hadn't lost a game. They were ranked #1, and we ended up upsetting them on our home court. And it was such a cool experience to not only upset the #1 team, but to be able to do it at home in front of everybody and cut down our own nets. And when I say that gym was packed that night, that is an understatement. I mean, John, you probably remember that one. I'm pretty sure they told us we broke an attendance record. There wasn't a seat open. Everybody, the fan section was crowded. There was body paint. People were watching from the skybox, from the bathrooms, there was not an empty seat. So it was just a really awesome game and a great way to end my career as far as home games in that last game.
As I recall, I think I lost my voice. I was so exhilarated at the end, winning that, having the Lady Reds win that game, and knowing, like you said, an undefeated team coming in #1 all season long, and their only loss was handed to them by Carthage on the home floor. I think that was, again, you hit a good memory there. You certainly did. Connor, to you, what stood out in your time at Carthage? What stood out for you?
When I think back on my college days, I'd definitely say that the thing that stands out the most is just accessibility of everyone on campus. So like my professors, they were available. They gave us their cell phone numbers. You could text them if you needed help, and they always had office hours. I knew I could walk into LJ's office and watch film whenever I wanted. I knew I could chat with him about life if I needed to. Gary Williams was the same way for me. As my advisor, he was always available and always easy to chat with. And I think, Dr. Bonn did the same thing for all of us as student athletes. And, those are the memories that I kind of cherish. My teammates, all of us talk about our teammates. They're great. They're some of my best friends. But, what was special about Carthage for me and what I needed as a student athlete was that accessibility piece.
And that rings true today. Having worked at the administrative side for 21 years at Carthage, I can tell you it was always a pleasure working with students, and we enjoyed working with the students. And personally, for me, I enjoyed working with student athletes. And Steve and Stephanie, you people all know this. Everybody that's known me there for a long time, that was the pride I took in working with the student athletes, especially helping them get a better schedule, or helping them think about graduate school or becoming a graduate assistant for a season or two, whatever it took to keep them involved with their sport. And finally, Kelsey, tell me a little bit about what stood out for you in your time at a great softball program at Carthage.
Yeah, so I think one thing that's really cool about Carthage is the culture that encourages you to get involved in a lot of things. So even as student athletes, we're able to obviously focus on our school, but also clubs or music or whatever else you enjoyed. So I thought that was really cool. Our coaches really took us in as family. I have memories of going over to our coach's mom's house and having soup dinners and hayrack rides with the team. And then performance-wise, our senior year, we won conference, and I remember sitting in class getting the news that we got to go to regionals and have a postseason, which is a pretty incredible experience too.
Outstanding. Those team meals, I know I've had my share. I've been part of those, particularly on the tournament route and on the travel route. So those are always good times. Well, again, congratulations, everyone, on your selection into the Carthage Athletic Hall of Fame. Truly deserving, each and every one of you, for what you accomplished in the field of competition, but more importantly, what you've been able to accomplish beyond Carthage College and gaining your careers and moving forward, and always having a soft spot for Carthage as an alum of Carthage College. Again, congratulations on your accomplishment and again, in your induction into the Carthage Athletic Hall of Fame.